Hey, Ryan, Webb here, and hope you're doing great. So here I have Simon Krabbesmark from the band Silvera. He's the guitarist and also does some backing vocals in Silvera. So Silvera is actually based in Denmark, so it's going to be really interesting to hear what the music scene is like over there. And of course, it's going to be a lot of chat about guitars, amplifiers, and pedal boards and all that cool stuff. So if you are into such videos, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. It would be really appreciated. So let's dive right in. Hey man, thanks for taking the time and having this chat with me. I really appreciate it. So who is Simon Krabbesmark?
Well, thank you for having me, Ryan. Well, yeah, said in your introduction, I'm the lead guitar player in the Danish band Silvera. Quite a new band. We just released our first record this October, so it's a couple of months old already, and we released it in quarantine times. So it's been a sort of funny way to do it. No live concerts and stuff like that. Very quiet.
So the debut album, man, the Silvera release. So how did that come about? How long did it take to, write right from the start? Was it a long process, or was it all put together very quickly?
It's been a very long journey ending up with the final recordings and with the album out. We started in 2016 with the first two singles. That was before we had a record deal. The first single were meant, for publishing, and maybe we could get a record deal with the two first singles. We were lucky to have Jacob Hansen from Hansen Studios in Denmark. He's in Denmark. He's very famous for his work with Volbeat and Amaranth, Pretty Mates. So he's the go-to guy if you want to make a hard rock metal record. And he helped us from the beginning. It was his idea to try and make two singles and see if there was any record companies who would be interested in publishing.
So
Yeah,
basically, you left it all up to, the producer to kind of shape you guys, to shape the tone of Silvera and, and promote you guys in a way. I was just about to ask you, the band sounds a little bit like Volbeat, so no, having that same producer explains everything now.
yeah, and maybe Michael, the singer in our band, his voice is quite similar to the other Michael, the lead singer in Volbeat. So that's also a thing.
That's so cool, man. So, on the album, well, what guitars did you use? So, did you stick to one brand? Did you use two, different brands for different tracks on the album?
I mainly use I have a red custom 24 PRS with bare knuckle pickups. I use that for maybe 75% of all the recordings. Then there's also I have a PRS single cut too, and Jacob in his studio he had a guitar with an Evertune bridge, and some of the guitar parts in the very low tunings we used the guitar with the Evertune system because it's pretty floppy and hard to keep the tunings right. And Jacob he can be very difficult to deal with the tunings. A lot of times when I think, I laid the perfect tracks, and he's, yeah, something's a bit off, and then we have to redo it. So
So,
the
how did you find, was there any playing style that have to change or adapt to the Evertune bridge while you're tracking?
while tracking all the rhythm on the Evertune guitar, it's set up so it cannot go out of tune. You can set it up to do bends, so you can bend on it. But when we are tracking the rhythm, it's set up so it's straight. You cannot bend even if you try to pull the string with all your muscle. So in that way, it's a bit like a cheating. It's it's very easy. You can hit the guitar as hard as you like, and it will stay in tune. So yeah,
Cool, man. So cool. So, what kind of strings and what brand and what gauge of strings were you using, to track on that album?
Most of the songs we play is tuned one step down and in drop C, and then I use 11 to 52 strings. I use Ernie Ball Slinky strings. The one is called Custom Gauge. Yeah, I think that's good. One step down, and with the 11s, you got some tension, but it's not hard to play them. So that's the one for me. And then we have some songs in B standard and in drop A too. And then I'll use let me see, 12 to 60 strings. It's just to add the tension, and with the very heavy bottom string, yeah, that's nicer to play with that heavily detuned guitar.
So how did you get into, bare knuckle pickups, man? Is that, you've been using that for a long time, or you just have been through different brands of pickups, and then how did you hear about bare knuckle pickups, especially in Denmark?
Yeah, I don't know. We had I guess music business isn't as good as it was back in the day, but in Denmark a lot of the guitar shops have been closing down. But when I heard of the pickups, it was in a big store called Forsound we had in Denmark, and they started importing the bare knuckle pickups, and they branded them like wow, British handmade, scatterwound, yeah. So it sounded very cool. And then I didn't actually buy the pickups in Forsound. I contacted Tim Mills from bare knuckle directly and asked him what he would suggest. I was I'm still a big fan of Mark Tremonti. So back in, I think it was in 2008, I contacted him and I wanted a set of pickups for my PRS Custom 24, and he suggested the painkiller for the bridge and the mule for the neck, and then I just ordered them directly at the website. Yeah,
That's
and
cool, man. That is so cool. So, have you ever, been using that same set of pickups even now?
it's only in the red Custom 24 I have the painkiller and the mule, and that's just because I have the same disease as many other guitar players, tone hunting. Maybe try something else, it will get even better. But well, I tend to go back, and when I play at the red guitar and I think, wow, that is the best sounding guitar I have. I have a custom 24 in green as well, so it should be identical guitar, but has different pickups. It has Seymour Duncan pickups. Not to say anything bad about Seymour Duncan, but I can hear big difference. It's a
Yeah,
custom and a jazz.
yeah. So, how do you do any kind of mods on your guitars? Apart from changing the pickups and all that stuff, is there anything you do normally before you're tracking, or is there like a standard thing that you do mods when you get a new guitar?
No, I think the pickups is the only thing I have changed on my guitars. I don't have any guitar with the standard pickups in it, except for my newest guitar. That's a Solar guitar with an Evertune bridge. I haven't changed the pickups in that yet. I had it for maybe 2 months, so I'll give the pickups a chance. But it's the first place I will look for improvement is in the pickups. Yeah.
Of course, man. Sounds cool. So, what is your amplifier setup like? Are you using, valve amplifiers? Are you using modelers? What is your whole take on that?
Well, I have three valve or tube lamps. I have an orange Rockerverb 50, the first edition, and two Engels. I have an Engel Artist edition and an Engel Savage 120. And all the recordings down at the Jacob Studio, we used tube amps for the main guitar parts. There is some parts here and there where it's plugins from Amplitude, or it could be my Helix. I use the Helix a lot. and all the live playing we're doing now is completely digital. I must admit or confess, because I think the tube or valve amps, they sound better, but when you're touring and stuff like that, it's yeah, just easy with the Helix. You have it all at your feet, and you don't take a lot of space in the car. And the singer Michael, he's not playing guitar on the record, but he plays guitar live. He also bought a Helix. It's just easy when playing Helix. Then I copied my presets, and he could have them. So yeah.
That's so cool, man. So basically, yeah, I've got an Helix as well. So I wouldn't really dive right into it, like really looked into the whole setup. Basically, I bought it for live purposes as well. It's like a quick setup. You get to the venue, plug and play, pretty much. I totally get that. So I would say your live setup, do you use just the Helix, or do you use any other pedals that in conjunction with, your Helix?
Yes, in the beginning, I'm a big fan of the Morley wahs. I have the Tremonti signature wah, and I also have the Steve Vai signature Bad Horsey wah. So I started off using a wah in conjunction with the Helix, but I stopped doing that. I think the wah in the Helix is pretty good. So it's just yeah, it's
Cool. So,
set it up so it sounds pretty much like the Morley wah. But I use a Digitech drop pedal just for convenience. When you play live, it's much easier when you use a lot of different tunings. I don't have to turn the knobs all the time and tell jokes to the audience. That could be quite a killer in the show.
do you experience any kind of latency when use the Digitech drop?
No, but it depends on how you set it up. You will experience latency if you set it up to drop maybe three steps or four steps. If you just use it to drop one or two steps, I cannot tell a difference when we're playing live. I have never recorded anything with the D tune, so I don't know if you can tell them. But live, I can feel any difference.
Cool, man. So Silvera's got a massive sound, especially the guitars. Everything is so wide and big and in your face. So what's the layering like? Do you track a double track, or, quadruple layers of guitars, single coils, humbuckers? What is the whole rhythm section going on?
Yeah, it's so many guitars. I can't even count them. All the rhythm is minimum four guitars playing the same thing, but different guitar sounds. Sometimes it's different guitars. A lot of the times I'll do two tracks with the Red Custom 24, and then I'll do two tracks again, but then I will split the pickup, so it's split coil.
So how
Sounds
long sorry, man. So how long would you work on a solo? Will you will is it like one of those things you create on the moment kind of thing, or would you go back and change it? How long does it take for you to say, okay, this is it. I'm not gonna touch it anymore.
sometimes I have an idea right away and just go for it, and other times then it's very hard to figure out what to play. Sometimes we'll meet up in the studio and I will have a totally uh, guitar solo written, and then Jacob will say, I don't hear any guitar solo in this song. What? Scream for guitar solo. But yeah, I listen a lot to what Jacob says. So if he says, man, there's no room for guitar solo here, and then I will just wipe in the car back home.
Sad face there. No solos. So cool, man. So your home studio setup, do you ever, track your guitars then? Does it ever end up on, the album itself, whether you're doing DI or, the actually full on amp sound?
Yeah, all the guitar solos is recorded at my home studio. All the small nerdy guitar parts that'll just add taste and flavors to the song is also recorded at home. It's only the big ground of the song, the rhythm tracks, that's recorded down at Jacob's studio.
Cool.
So
So
I have a DI box, and then I'll use that with the Helix, so I can hear the Helix and try to figure out funny stuff to put on the guitar, and maybe I'll add delay or no delay. But and then I can send that to Jacob so he can to try to get an idea of what I was thinking with the guitar. So, but if you don't like all the effect stuff I put on, and if he thinks, wow, it sounds too digital, then he can reamp the stuff because I have the DI signal too.
yeah, so that sounds cool, man. It's pretty much like, what guitarists and bass guitarists and all that do nowadays. It's just so easy to DI and send it to the producer. So, does your solos ever change when you perform live?
Only a little. And I think if you're an untrained listener, then you won't tell the difference between the live and the studio recording. But I mix it up a little, but I think it's only me and the drummer who will notice.
Sounds cool, man. So you mentioned that Mark Tremonti is your, full-on influence there. Are there any other guitarists that you're influenced by, past or present?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was actually Brian Adams who was my big inspiration. Maybe that's like a guilty pleasure now. But I really think some of his first albums are iconic. The Reckless album, that's the album with the Summer of '69 and Run to You. That's I wasn't even born when it was released, but I wished I was the one who wrote that album.
That's a massive difference, man, in your genre. That's all hard rock and kind of metal with Silvera, and your listening pleasures, Brian Adams. That sounds so cool.
It was when I was a kid. When I started playing, I was 10 years old. Then Brian Adams was my idol. Then it changed. Then it was Metallica, Kirk Hammett, and James Hetfield, and then Mark Tremonti and Slash. I also a big Guns N' Roses fan.
Cool, man. So, do you still listen to Brian Adams though?
Only at parties. I think that's really good for cracking beers. Then Summer of '69. That's like the anthem of a good party.
So, other than Silvera, do you do any other session work, for other artists or bands? Or what is your, day to day as a guitarist?
No, Silvera is my main thing. I play in a cover band too, where it's a girl who sings that small pop songs, stuff like that, and we play at weddings and private parties. So
So, what is the music scene like in Denmark, man? So, when you say you're performing at weddings and stuff, do you still play a lot of rock stuff? It's all pop, dance, and being a hard rock guitarist, how do you kind of your mindset when you're playing such pop music?
yeah, I think I find the right way in between the pop and the heavy metal guitars. So I can play the nice pop verse and chorus, and I'm fortunate enough to have good bandmates who will give me room and space. So in almost every of the pop songs, I will have my 1 minute of fame. I can step out in the audience and try to smoke a guitar solo. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. So, going back to, the album, while you're tracking, have you come across any glitches or any tips and tricks, or you would like to share with the budding up guitarists, whether what to do, not to do while you're tracking guitars, man?
Always track guitars with fresh strings. That's number one. Number two, tune your guitar and tune it again.
Hence the Evertune bridge, man.
That's a good tool. And then I use a fret wrap. That's like a hairband. You can put all over the strings, so you eliminate unwanted string noise. Especially if you're playing a guitar solo, sometimes you'll skip a string and make some weird noises. The fret wrap will eliminate that. Again, it's you have to make it as easy as possible for you. It's a shame if you make the perfect take and then it's destroyed by sound.
I totally get that, man. And so I think if you're DIing as well, I think it's quite easier to get rid of that unwanted, clicks or pops when you're DIing. It can literally just, I know you got some really cool tools nowadays. We can just get that tiny little bit of noise out of the way. In a way, a good producer or a mix engineer can kind of sort that out.
Yeah, I use the DI all the time, and Jacob does that too. All the recordings, there's always a DI signal that's been recorded. So it's possible to change the amps. In the studio, in Jacob's studio, we use the Engel Artist Edition and the Engel Fireball for all the main stuff. But we also tried different things. When we were recording, I think it was the song called Alive. Volbeat just been in the studio the week before us, so the lead singer Michael Paulson, his Marshall JCM 800 amp was set up in the studio, and Jacob said, we need a more like a trashy guitar sound, and the Marshall amp was pretty good suited for that. And then we tried it. We hooked his amp up, and Jacob said, "Oh, we cannot change on the settings because it's Michael's settings, and he'll kill me if we touch it." We tried that, and sounded awful. Even though I wanted a more trashy or dirty guitar sound, was not suited for the track. And then we had the DI track, so we can just reamp and use the Engel stuff.
So
Yeah,
cool, man. So while you're, during a session, with in the studio, do you ever clash with Volbeat at all?
yeah, we did that a lot of time, but we never meet. It's like we will be out in the morning, and then they will come. But they will have Jacob and his studios for maybe 3 months, stuff like that, and it's not like us. We are down at Jacob's studio for one weekend and maybe 2 days, and we'll head back for work. So none of us in Silvera is making a living out of the music. We have daytime jobs.
Totally get that, man. Totally. It's one of those things, but you never know. One of these days, it could be that one single is gonna hit the music industry, and you guys are gonna be as big as Volbeat. Then you can screw your jobs.
I think it's like playing the lottery. It's the same thing. Making music. You hope for the next song. The next song that's going to be famous, big.
So, is there any works on, when this all chaotic virus thing ends? Are you planning on coming to the UK for gigs?
Well, we have a booking management agent who will take care of us, but I don't think he has any contacts in the UK. So it's mainly Denmark and maybe the northern part of Germany. That's our focus. But if you can hook us up, then we'll come.
You never know, man. There's a lot of similar bands out here. When everything kicks off, maybe we'll get together and invite you guys around. That'll be so cool. Cool. So this has been absolutely amazing, man. I do really appreciate you taking the time and having this chat with me. So before we end this, do you want to give a shout out to anyone? You know, or your fans, or any brands you want to give a shout out to?
Well, since I'm not endorsed, then I don't think I have to give a shout out to PRS, but I would love to be endorsed by PRS Guitar since
That's a
it's
good
my
start.
main guitars. But I hope our fans are patient and will have the time to wait to all this virus stuff is over. All our gigs in the fall and winter has been postponed or canceled. So it's yeah,
Cool.
not
So
that.
what are you up to right now, man?
Right now we are looking at new material for maybe a next record, so it won't take 4 years to produce the next one. It'd be nice with a faster recording process. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yet again, thanks again for taking the time and having this chat with me, and I'll catch you guys sometime soon. So take care, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.